I urge the selectmen to accept this.
So I move that we accept the grant to support development of a mixed-use zoning ordinance.
It's a motion to reconsider.
But wouldn't a motion to reconsider have to occur during the same meeting?
No, a motion to reconsider is only done by the prevailing side.
So you said it's,
Okay, so we can just create a new charter and accept the grant that has already been applied for by the.
wait. I move that we accept the grant based on the information that was just presented to us for the mixed use, engaged NRPC to aid the town of Brookline in developing a thorough mixed-use zoning ordinance that we can take to the town.
You're making a motion to reconsider your original motion, which was to dissolve the committee.
No, I didn't say anything about dissolving the committee.
Well, the committee's already been dissolved.
That's not what I asked.
We need a second if we're going to discuss.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion? Those opposed?
So since this path has been successful, I'll send a note out to all the folks on the committee. And since I have a free every other Monday, we'll go and Google and cut and paste one together and go through the same process. It might take a little longer, might be harder work, but I think there's sufficient interest in the people of the town of Brookline, at least on having a conversation.
Well, why don't we discuss this offline, after the meeting?
Louise?
Louise Price, Buffalo Road, and I am on the committee. I've been going to the meetings. And basically I'm neutral, neither for nor against. I'm learning what it's all about. And I think basically that the people in town should have a chance to learn more themselves so they can make an educated decision at the end, which probably won't be for another 2 years.
So I agree with you, and that's why I'm going to devote my
And
time
I'll be on your whatever.
to making sure that the people of the town of Brookline
Yes.
get the information, have the conversations, to make an informed decision
Yes.
on the future of the town of Brookline.
You know, I've been pretty quiet, but I have done my share of investigation on this. I didn't just sit back on my hands, and you and I have talked, and I didn't sway your opinion anyway, because I really wanted to get a feel of what the people on Route 130 want. Because to be totally honest with you, this isn't really going to impact me other than the fact that I'm going to lose a scenic part of the center of Brooklyn. To me, change is happening around us, but the one constant is that this, let me just finish, okay? Because when I speak, people tend to want to argue with me. I'm not going to argue, not going to get into debate. I'm just going to share with you some of the things that I found out. Is at a ratio of 10 to 1, the majority being the center of town, don't want mixed use.
Right.
Okay? So the outskirts of 130, which you are, and some of the other people on 130, they really know they don't really have much skin in the game because it's all going to affect the people in the center of town. But by a 10 to 1 ratio of the people in the town, the majority in the center of town don't want it. Okay?
Sure.
The other thing is, please, Carl, let me finish. I didn't really say anything.
Right.
Okay. This visioning plan, I spoke to people on the visioning plan. Okay? And served on it. And they said we didn't even bring up mixed use other than a few people. And if you go to question 7 on the mixed use, when they asked what the vision of the group that served on it, there was only a couple versus, and I wish I brought it, it's out in my car, on about 30 or 40 recommendations, there's probably a handful of people that said mixed use was where they wanted to go. So from that point, it got included in the planning board and then it got added in the master plan. But if you go back to the master plan a number of years ago, in the master plan, we should have a middle school in Brookline because the middle school was scheduled to be on the master plan at a certain period of time. And I'm not picking on you, I'm just sharing people about the master plan and the process, okay? The other thing is, The big thing for me is when we, as a group of citizens of this town, imposing what we think the town should look like on a small group of people, just because they happen to live there, I think is totally wrong. But here's the bigger thing, is I've talked to Sarah's father over at Old Homes Days, and he's telling me that none of the lots in the center of town are in compliance. They're all, either septic, there's parking, the DOT, it's an uphill battle. But I did even more research, okay? I checked also with the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, the people who are giving this loan, and they do have final comment on this. Just like when we set up workforce housing in this town, we all got together at CSDA and this is what we wanted, this is what it was look like, and there was a certain minimum acreage. And they had final say also, okay? The long and the short of it is, there's also a clause in the contract that the New Hampshire Housing Finance has with HUD. And there are 7 laws that we have to abide by, plus 2 presidential executive orders. That if we're not violating now and we violate it later, we may be on the hook for millions of dollars, just because we took this grant. So yes, I did do a little research in this. I'm not gonna get any debate, because everybody had the floor and brought it up. I'm just telling you, from my perspective, it's not a good grant, okay? And it's not a good idea for the town of Brookline. And I did do a lot of research, and I'm sorry. I'm not going to impose the vision of a few to impact the people that live in that neighborhood. It's just wrong. Now, if you want to do mixed use over everybody's town, so everybody in any subdivision could have a business next to them, maybe that's what we should be talking about. Because in my subdivision, that means a doctor or dentist could be there and be gone at 5 o'clock. Or in your subdivision, they could be a hairdresser that could come in and say, you know what, I want to be next to you. Yeah, well, I'm getting there too. But the long and the short of it, I think it's wrong, and I think it's unfair. And to be totally honest with you, I don't see where the big demand for mixed use is. Because this town of Brookline does not support businesses.
Oh, well,
Okay.
that was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That was of course we don't support businesses. We don't support residents living here and staying here after their kids have gone. He said it, I didn't say it.
That's not true.
He just said
I
it.
didn't say anything about
Whoa,
supporting
whoa,
businesses.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
That was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
One at a time.
Okay, no, that's it.
Anybody
I
else
did
want to make any comment? Brian?
Since Jack made a number of statements there that I do feel need to be responded to. It's nice that, you know, in the course of the mixed use, we've had a number of people come up to us and say, everybody I talk to agrees with me on this. And you find out later that they were telling people things that weren't necessarily true. I've heard people come up to me and say, you know, that the whole purpose of mixed use is to allow people to put apartments on top of buildings, for example. This is why we had a neutrally worded survey that everybody on the committee, people opposed to it as well, approved of the exact wording, and the results were very mixed, you know, 50-50 or close to it. So I have a bit more faith in that. Secondly, with the visioning that was here, there was a zoning survey that was sent out to the residents of the town, you know, a written survey, and they got back 160 total responses, and out of those, 121 said that they wanted mixed-use zoning. So it's not just 1 or 2 people, it was a very substantial proportion of the people who were surveyed. And finally, what the contract says about the grant is that once we have a final draft and the process is, you know, the grant portion of it is at the end, we have to provide a copy of that draft to the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority so that they have an opportunity to provide comments back to the town. And that's all that it is comments. I specifically talked to Ben Frost and I specifically asked him this question, you know, can the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority require any sort of language whatsoever in the final draft of the ordinance? And he said, no, absolutely not. All we can do is provide some more, provide our input like other people can, and the town is free to reject that however they wish.
Okay. Can we move on?
I guess so.
Thank you, folks, for the comments and being here to hear the meeting.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You don't think those same federal laws are on your sidewalk bid?
And so,
You don't know.
so how do those federal laws mitigated if I draft an ordinance and go through the exact same process?
Because you're not getting a grant.
I would prefer that if we're gonna provide this, it go to everybody.
The grant is just to write the ordinance. It has no effect afterwards.
What, if, okay, here's my question, please, Ash. We have,
That was just
No,
FYI
we're
today,
in there.
Lorraine had signed off on it.
why do we need to stop?
Wanted to make sure that